Today's video is going to be a recap of our first 6 months in real estate in Armenia. And if you stay to the end, I'll give you a money-saving tip that came to light yesterday that will save you some money and maybe aggravation. Before I get started, please subscribe at the end of the video. You can do that by clicking on the round photo in the top corner. It gets the information out to more people and perhaps highlights with about 130 videos now how attractive a place to live is Armenia. My name is William Hutchison. My wife and I own the two real estate companies at the bottom of the thumbnail. I want to talk about renting and buying in Armenia, and most of the comments that I make will be applicable to either. I got into the real estate business 6 months ago. My background is finance and home construction. And after living in Colombia for 13 years, in Armenia for 12, it seemed that the stories about real estate were getting worse as they affected expats. The system here, well, there is no system. So people coming here expect similar to what they're leaving, but real estate in Colombia, as Alan Gongora, American lawyer with Langon Group in Medellin, says, real estate is a horrible mess. The things that concern me are not so much the fact that people just pop up and say they are a real estate agent. They go on Facebook, in 5 minutes they are. But there's no education, there's no licensing, there's no registration. But what concerns me more than anything else is there's no discipline. So it's a free-for-all. If you're a real estate agent where there's an MLS system, there's a board, there's discipline, you have to act in a certain way or you aren't going to be selling real estate. And that's far from what is going on here. In summary, there's 3 ways that you can buy here. You can buy privately, you can buy through a Colombian agent, or you can buy through one of my companies, bilingual, and we'll get into that in a minute. The one thing that is not different is the sellers pay any fee here. And for someone to not take advantage of the advice and the direction and our professional backup people that all speak English, when they don't pay for it, is not anything that I can understand. You can buy here privately. There's no question about that. You maybe buy through a friend of a friend, maybe it's a relative. But the issue with that is, without extensive market knowledge, you aren't too sure about the price you're paying. And there's this thing here called the wow factor. When I speak to people, I tell them all to rent for at least 6 months. And then in that period of time, you should know whether Armenia is for you. But here you're buying for 20 or 25% of what a similar property would be in your hometown. It's just the way the pricing is. So if you see something at 30% and it looks like a great deal, you could still be paying too much because it's only worth 25%. So you're overpaying. The other thing, and I was talking to my lawyer on Friday, and there seems to be a run right now of underhanded things going on. Instances of people taking deposits from 4 or 5 people for the same property, and then the deposits not being returned. Looking at property where perhaps there's 10 acres and you think that you're buying the whole 10 acres, but when it comes time to close, you're only buying 2 acres on the front corner. And also instances where people are taking deposits on property they don't even own. They'll take you out, show you the property as though they're the owners, get a deposit, and you never see them again. So that scenario has a lot of pitfalls, and I'm going to deal with one big one towards the end of this video. The other way that you could buy here would be through a Colombian agent. If you have Spanish, then you're probably okay doing that. But if you don't, you're at a real disadvantage, because there are very few English-speaking agents here. I know of perhaps 50 or 60, and I only know of 2, and both have experience in the United States. So your chance of finding someone that speaks your native language is pretty slim. The third way you can buy here is through my companies. And the advantages to that, in my mind, are many. Number one, we're focused on expats. We make sure that they're not overpaying. I don't take listings that are ridiculous. I've turned down 3 in the last couple of months where people want 30% more than the value of the property. In fact, 30% more than listings that I currently have. It costs me money to put them through my administration process. I wouldn't show them anyway because they're not attractive when I show the comparable properties, either mine or someone else's. We have some advantages that others don't, and they're strictly voluntarily. We've taken them on, and one is the American Realtor Code of Ethics. We also are very cognizant of fiduciary duty. That's the duty where you act for the person that you're representing. There's no conflict of interest. We have extensive market knowledge. I'm very involved in the market every day, and we're bilingual. We're English and Spanish, so we can deal with either side in their native language. I'm biased, no question. But I think as a gringo, if you're coming to Colombia and you're looking to rent or buy, we are the only option in Armenia. There is no one else. I said at the beginning of the video, I would point out one thing to you. There's another thing that's come to mind. A lot of gringos, expats that have bought here, have thought that they have gotten a pretty good deal, and some of them probably have. But if you're that confident of what you paid, my advice to you is to have a look at your deed and see if the number reported on the deed is the same as what you paid for the property. Because if it's lower, what has happened is you have taken on the capital gains tax liability that the seller should have paid. For example, if you bought for 400 and it's reported as 200 million, you're on the hook for 15% of 200 million when you sell, plus your capital gain that you make over and above the 400. The practice has been illegal since 2018, but it's still going on. The other thing I want to make you aware of is there's another channel here that's taking deposits, and on cancellations, I saw one case yesterday where the deposit wasn't returned and isn't going to be returned. my suggestion to you is to not take any deposits for time, because that's all the deposit was about. I don't take deposits except for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit that I represent for the owner to rent to my clients. He insists on a deposit, and that's a different story because he's providing something other than just his time. My advice is no deposits in Colombia. I mean, if you're dealing with the Marriott in Bogota and they ask for a deposit, it's a completely different story than if you're dealing with someone who says, well, I have to book a week for you, so I need a deposit. That's completely out of anyone's understanding. The other thing that bothers me as much is it was a gringo who's gringoing another gringo, and that doesn't sit well with me. Pretty long video today, but I wanted to get all the information out to you. We're here to help you. We're here to hold your hand. As I said, we have English-speaking backup everywhere. A fantastic lawyer. The office also does immigration. She got a video for a fella a while back that should have been deported, and because she knew the people in Bogota, she got him a visa and he can live here. Very, very well qualified, and as you can imagine, in Colombia and a lot of other countries, it's who you know, and she knows. William Hutchison, Armenia, Colombia Realty for Expats, and Salento Colombia Realty, signing off. Don't forget to subscribe, please. It's the YouTube algorithm pushes the videos that have subscribers, and I'd like to get information out to the people that might be considering Armenia as a place to retire to. Have a great day. I will. I live in paradise, and you can too.